Well, your mom's last name is Smith.
Yeah.
Your dad's last name is Jackson.
Yeah.
And your last name is Lewis.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, my mom, of course, had me at 15 years old. She didn't have the finances to pay for us to even get out of the hospital, you know? And so there was a friend of hers that was in the military, of course, who had benefits, and his name was Ray Lewis. And she asked him, she said, would you do me a favor? She said, would you come sign as my son's father? And he graciously came and signed as my father. And to this day, I met Ray Lewis one time, and I told him, thank you, and I promised to make your name great.
Your dad left on the day you were born.
Yeah.
How do you describe that environment of growing up where your mom is only 15 years older than you?
Yeah, I tell you what you do. You learn to become her best friend because she needs more help than you can ever imagine.
And a protector.
Yeah. So my mom grabbed me at 10 years old and she said, listen, I don't have time for you to be a child. I need you to be a young man right now. She taught me how to cook, clean, iron, fold, braid, plait, wash, scrub, everything. And I'm like, Mom, why am I supposed to learn these things? And she was like, because I need help.
How did you get into playing football?
I was probably 8 years old. I was like, Ma, oh my gosh. I mean, I would love to play one day. She was like, you're not playing football. I was like, okay, boom, that's out the door. 2 years later, I go to this practice and I'm standing outside the gate and I'm like, man, I really want to play. And this guy, Biscuit, walked up. He was one of the coaches for the Lakeland Lumberjacks. And he says, why you ain't playing football? He's like, you look good. I was like, listen, my mom ain't let me play football. He was like, really? He was like, let me talk to her. I said, talk to who? My mama? No. That's the last person you want to talk to. And he was like, no, please let me talk to her. I said, Biscuit, you don't understand. You walk in that house, man, a frying pan gonna come through the door or something. And so he showed up one day and he walked in and she was like, I'm not listening. I don't want to hear nothing. You can turn around and go back out my door. I said, I told you she wasn't gonna talk to you. And then he was like, no, he was like, excuse me, can I please just talk to you for a minute? And she said, I don't have money to sign him up. Do you have $15? He said, I'll pay the $15. She said, okay, you pay the $15. She said, I want you to pick him up from practice and drop him off at home every day. And he gotta be home to take care of his sisters. That's the deal. He was like, okay. And so Biscuit every day would pick me up, drop me off. And so, man, to this day, that guy, he'll never know what he done for not just me, you know, my family, my fans, everybody, because he gave me an opportunity where there was no other way out. There was no other way out.
I mean, I don't know if sports gave you structure because your life didn't have structure.
Yeah. Sports gave me a direction. Sports gave me a vision outside of my circumstances. So my imagination, it gave me a chance to dream that I can change this for my family. Like I can create the dynamics to where my family we won't grow up like this, you know? I never forget, one of the things that we used to always get picked at about was going to the welfare office and always picking up this big block of cheese, right? And everybody would be sitting there watching you and be like, oh my gosh, they're poor. And you walk in school, you're like, dang, they saw me at the office. And so my fire to become successful wasn't me, it was my family. It was like, how do I get my family out? How do I get my mom out? How do I stop some of her pain? How do I slow down some of her pain? And so that's why I think football, I tell people all the time, football it didn't necessarily inspire me. What inspired me, then honestly, my whole life was to become strong enough to make sure man never put his hands on my mom again.
Did you see that?
Absolutely.
What'd you do?
I did everything I could. I lost most of those battles. You know, I was a very skinny kid.
But you tried.
Yeah, I gave everything I had, you know, and there would be nights that I would just hold her, you know, and man, my mom was a very, very high yellow, you know, woman, and the way she would bleed from her eyes is a vision that a child will never forget. And I used to hold my mom, and she used to come in at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. She had to go right back out at 6. And I used to boil a bucket of Epsom salt. And I used to sit it on the edge of her bed. And she used to just sit on there, and she used to pass out. And I used to just take her face, and I used to just wipe her face down and just make sure I get her back out the door. And then she'd be like, look, make sure your brothers and sisters get to school, braid their hair, take your sisters to the bus stop, then you get to your bus stop, pick them up, routine. Because mom was never home. Mom was never home.
You also used a deck of cards
Yeah,
to get in shape.
yeah. About 10, 11 years old, I asked my mom, I said, would you buy me a deck of cards? And she said, no. She says, I don't gamble in my house. Ain't no cards coming in my house. And I was like, Mom, I don't want the cards for gambling. And she said, no, I'm not gonna do it. And then she got into one big last fight. She was beat up bad. And the next day, I was crying, listening to her cry. And she threw me these cards. And I took the cards, and I was so mad because I wasn't strong enough to fight him. And I just took the cards and I smashed them on the floor. And the cards fell down, and a 6 came out. And I grabbed the 6, and I started doing 6 push-ups. And an 8 came out, and I did 8. And a Jack, Queen, King came out, and I did 10. And an Ace came out, and I did 25. And a Joker came out, and I did 50. And I just went through the whole deck. I shuffled the deck, started doing sit-ups. Shuffled the deck, started doing push-ups. Shuffled the deck, started doing sit-ups. Until I literally passed out every night. And to this day, I carry those same deck of cards with me.